Right, it's 1 o'clock and we will call our meeting to order. We got lots of.
I hope that's not just me.
Is testing.
You're good now. Sorry.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We will call our regular council meeting for November the 10th to order. And a reminder to council to disclose any pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Here he is. Welcome along. So hearing none, no disclosure of any pecuniary interest, we will move on to the agenda, approval of the agenda. Smokey and Todd. Any discussion on the agenda? Call a vote, all in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Next, item 3 on the agenda is the minutes of October the 27th. Mover and seconder for the minutes. Rod, come on. Any discussion on the minutes? Call the vote, all in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Item 4 on the agenda is a public meeting. And our deputy clerk has presented a report regarding our bed and breakfast licensing program and a policy and survey data as well. Are there any questions from council to our deputy clerk? Smokey.
Yeah. I don't have any questions. It was very well presented. I appreciated the report. It's comprehensive and gives us a couple of options that make sense to me.
All right, if there are no further questions, we will open the public meeting. So at this time, we will take any comments regarding the bed and breakfast licensing policy. Are there any members of the public here wish to speak? And is anyone online wish to speak to the bed and breakfast policy framework?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have some folks online. If you're interested in speaking, could you please raise your hand? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Nobody? All right. If there's no one here in the chambers wishing to speak and no one online, we will close the public meeting. And there are a couple of recommendations here that the council can either A or B give direction on. Rod?
Yeah, the two options include the waiver of the licensing and inspection fees for 2026, and the second option just says go ahead as is.
Yes.
So I think my vote would be for the second option, option B, just to start immediately.
Okay. Do you wish to make that a motion?
Would, yes.
All right. Moved by Rod that option A be recommended. Is there a seconder for that?
Yeah, I'd second that.
Second by Amon. Any further discussion? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Next, we'll go to delegations, and it's FoodCycle Science. Brittany Clarke via Zoom. Welcome, Brittany. Brittany, you are on if you wish to speak. Okay.
Hi there. Sorry, can you hear me now?
We can. Yeah, loud and clear.
Perfect. I was having a little trouble connecting into the Zoom, but my name is Farah. I'm actually going to be presenting on behalf of Brittany today. She's unfortunately taken ill. but I will run us through the presentation. I see that you have it in front of you. So I am also happy to share my screen if that would work. But if not, we can go through the slides. You can let me know what would work best.
Thank you, Farah. If you could just cue us for next slide, we have it up here for you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, Lindsey. All right. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council and staff. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you today. As I mentioned, my name is Farah, and I am the Municipal Program Coordinator here at FoodCycle Science, and I'm here to provide an overview of Northern Bruce Peninsula's expanded FoodCycler Organic Waste Diversion Program, to take a look back at your accomplishments and outline the vision for a long-term strategy. So if we can go to the next slide. Just to give you a quick recap, FoodCycle Science is a proud Canadian company. We're based out of Ottawa. We're a team of food waste experts, engineers, and scientists, and our innovative technology, known as the FoodCycler, has become a trusted food waste solution for over 180 municipalities across Canada. So if we go to the next slide. Over the next few slides, I'd really like to reflect on the impressive journey that's brought us to this point and the leadership that Northern Bruce Peninsula has demonstrated. Your first pilot back in 2023 involved about 130 FC30 and Eco5 units and successfully diverted 272 kilograms of food waste per household from the landfill. Building on that momentum, you expanded with a second program in 2024 with 100 more units, including the FC30s and Eco5s, as well as the Eco3 model, achieving an additional 238 kilograms per household of diversion. After each pilot was completed, we ran a survey that gathered the data and feedback from your residents, and the results were overwhelmingly positive. Your residents rated the program a 4.6 out of 5 stars, with 94% saying that they would recommend it to others, and 99% of your residents intending to continue using their FoodCycler long-term. So based on usage across the 130 households, it's estimated that over 3,645 garbage bags worth of food waste are being kept out of your landfill each year, and that's a remarkable impact and one that you should be incredibly proud of. And as Northern Bruce Peninsula considers your path forward in organic waste management, it's obvious that there really is a gap in solutions for rural communities. Curbside green bin programs, while effective in more dense urban settings, really require significant infrastructure and operational costs that aren't always justifiable in a community like yours. And backyard composting, although valuable, really faces barriers in terms of practice. It requires time, space, and knowledge, and often becomes unusable during our very long winters. In fact, survey data from over 6,800 households show that only 37% use backyard composters, and only 18% really reported using it all year round. So if we can go to the next slide. As part of the survey, we asked your residents to share their comments about their experience using their FoodCycler, and we received a lot of them. We always like to be incredibly transparent and start with some of the constructive feedback we've received. And this feedback is always valuable because it gives us a clear sense of where improvements can be made to support even greater adoption and impact. One thing that we noticed was that your residents expressed confusion around the byproduct or the end product, what it is, how to use it, and where it should go. Some of your residents were under the impression that the FoodCycler would produce finished compost, while others weren't sure if the output should be stored, added to a backyard composter, or just tossed in a green bin. So this tells us that there is real opportunity to improve education around what the FoodCycler produces and how to handle the end product safely and effectively. And we also received a lot of overwhelmingly positive feedback from participants who really loved using their FoodCycler. They appreciated how convenient it was, especially in the winter when outdoor composting wasn't practical for them. And one of your participants really summed it up perfectly by saying that it was a game changer. So overall, it's clear that the FoodCycler made a strong impression. It simplified how people manage their food waste and improved their experience with it. making it more accessible, less unpleasant, and sometimes even rewarding. And that kind of enthusiastic response is about managing your food waste really highlights the potential for long-term adoption of a program like this moving forward. So we go to the next slide. So building on your pilot's success and leveraging the positive survey results and information we've gathered from your residents, we propose scaling this into a long-lasting solution through a phased community program. We're recommending a model where the municipality fully funds a FoodCycler program for households. This removes the cost barrier entirely, ensuring every resident can participate, whether or not they could afford to purchase one themselves. And this approach not only maximizes landfill diversion and reduces greenhouse gas emissions, but it also creates a consistent, equitable service for all your residents. The key difference here, like I just mentioned, is that the units are going to be part of a fully subsidized program provided by the municipality, meaning that there's no upfront cost to the resident. And while the cost sharing model worked really well in your pilot to engage early adopters, experience shows that this does not scale effectively. In a community-wide rollout, most residents are unlikely or unable to pay $200 to $300 out of pocket, even if they support the program. So to ensure broad and equitable adoption, a community program must be treated like any other essential service, which means it's municipally funded with costs recovered through annual property taxes. We've seen encouraging and really impactful results with this model, which has been adopted by 10 communities across Canada so far. And the most notable example of this is the city of Nelson in BC, where over 2,300 FoodCyclers have already been successfully distributed to residents to date. So if we go to the next slide. Our expanded programs are designed to be fully tailored to your community with a range of services and options included. So every FoodCycler would come with a 5-year minimum warranty and full customer support. Your community would also have a dedicated program implementation manager to oversee everything. So someone like me, where we would take care of logistics and planning to creating promotional materials and education plans for residents. And examples of some of these educational plans could be educational webinars or sharing information through a social media campaign. In our full community programs, we also place a really strong emphasis on data collection and reporting, so we're able to track results and continue achieving high diversion rates consistently. These are a few but small important pieces of infrastructure needed to support the long-term success of a program like this. First, residents need convenient access to carbon refills. On this slide, you'll see an example of a refill station in one of our current communities. The station is located in a grocery store, so residents can easily pick up carbon as needed a few times per year. And if you are a FoodCycler user or know people who do use one, you don't need to maintain your carbon filter for the machine to work. But if you keep your FoodCycler in a central area in your home and you're going to smell it when it runs, it's important to ensure that carbon is accessible so residents keep using their FoodCycler. The second is the soil amendment management system. So for residents who don't garden or compost at home, it's important to provide drop-off options so the byproduct stays out of the landfill. Some of our partner municipalities like Nelson have installed community bins at convenient locations such as transfer stations or a community garden. These bins can be serviced a few times a month or as needed, and the material can be used by public works staff, local farmers, or community gardens. Lastly, I also wanted to add that we include your schools. We would be donating some FoodCyclers to be used in classrooms for student food waste. With this, we provide a curriculum so that students are able to learn more about food waste impacts and composting science. Overall, we have the right supports in place to create a community program that really will have lasting effects on your community. So if we can go to the next slide. This diagram here is really just the framework for the next steps. This is how we envision the expansion of a FoodCycler program to a community-wide program. It would be a phased approach so that we can be very intentional about implementation and ensure successful adoption and usage. The timing and percentages you'll see here are really just examples of how it could be done. And it can be adjusted again based on budget and capacity and what is going to work best in your community. So working together with your staff, we'll establish a schedule to deploy your units into homes of residents at a pace that works for you. And this phased approach promotes smooth rollout. It really allows us to fine-tune the program based on our continued data collection efforts and helps to expand in a meaningful and sustainable way. So if we can go to the next slide. So Ontario municipalities really are under growing pressure to manage waste more strategically. Poor disposal habits and the overuse of landfills really shorten their effective lifespan, and municipalities have to treat these as a valuable asset worth preserving for as long as possible. So scaling the FoodCycle program across your community could divert approximately 562 metric tons of food waste annually, significantly reducing total landfill volume. This diversion would ease pressure on hauling and landfill infrastructure while lowering long-term operational costs. We've also developed a comprehensive ROI calculator in partnership with Cambium Environmental Consultants to help municipalities quantify the financial benefits of extending landfill life, and we'd be very happy to provide these calculations upon request. Implementing this program represents an investment in establishing a long-term sustainable organics management solution. And as the program transitions into a municipally provided and funded waste service, council would determine its inclusion as a line item with annual taxes. To further offset costs, municipalities may also consider shifting from weekly to bi-weekly curbside garbage collection. With residents managing food waste at home, curbside volumes would decrease substantially. And because waste would no longer produce odors, this adjustment becomes both practical and cost-effective. And such a change could yield up to 40% annual cost reduction or approximately $240,000 in potential yearly savings, creating ongoing budget relief. Public support for this approach is also incredibly strong in your community. 68% of your residents would prefer a food cycler compared to just 23% who would favor a green bin program. So combining financial practicality with clear community backing, food cyclers really offer an immediate, scalable, and cost-effective solution to Northern Bruce's waste management and organic diversion challenges. Challenges that are only going to become more complex and costly if left unaddressed. So there's an opportunity for Northern Bruce to really reduce operational costs, cut waste, and lower emissions through a food cycler program. So if we can go to the next slide. And although you're not currently required to comply with Ontario's food and organic waste policy statement due to size, future regulations could expand to include smaller municipalities like yours. So it would be wise to be able to plan ahead and prepare for a future where organics are banned from landfill. And we have confirmed with the Ministry of Environment that municipalities are permitted the flexibility to choose and implement waste management solutions that really align with their unique local needs and conditions. So for communities like yours, where large-scale organics processing facilities are really not feasible, alternate approaches to curbside green bins are acceptable. So if we go to the next slide here. So all of this to say, our full program is very comprehensive. We are incredibly invested just as much as you are in making your program successful, and we will do what it takes to help ensure things go well. And unlike traditional curbside organics programs that require ongoing operational costs, dedicated fleets, and centralized processing infrastructure, the food cycler model is based on a one-time capital investment in household units with minimal ongoing municipal expense. An expanded community program would include a 5-year warranty, plus all of the extra administrative support, education, and marketing materials that we would provide you. So we go to the next slide. That brings me to the end of the presentation, and I very much thank you for your time and attention. And I also want to specifically thank the staff for all of their ongoing dedication and hard work on making the first 2 pilots such a success. And I am ready to answer any questions and hear any comments that you might have.
Right, thank you for your presentation. I do have a couple of questions. The smaller one, what is the actual cost of the smaller and larger one?
Are you talking about the units?
Yes.
Okay, yes. I will be able to give the costing. It depends on the number of units that you order, but with a full program, if you were looking at the Eco 3, which is the 3.5 liter model, it would be $339 per unit. And then for the Eco 5, it would be $449 per unit. And that would be inclusive of the extended warranty and all of the other components that we mentioned for the full program.
All right, thank you. So what size of family would the smaller one work for?
The smaller one works really well for a family size of 2 to 3 people. And if you did want to process more food waste, we do recommend the Eco 3. It is a smaller footprint with the same kind of robust grinding mechanism that you have with the Eco 5. So if a family is, let's say, larger or produces more food waste, having an extra bucket is a great way to be able to increase the capacity without having to increase the footprint that it might have within the home.
I forget from the first time we implemented the FoodCycler. What time frame does it take for the small one to go through the full process?
That's a good question. Depending on how full the bucket is, and for most part, we noticed that a lot of your residents were running their units at about 80% to 90% capacity. It can take anywhere. When you had the FC30s, they were a little bit smaller, and with the up to the Eco 5, so you're looking at anywhere between 4 to 8 hours. So overnight is how long it would take to process a full bucket on average.
And what hydro do they take? What energy do they take?
They take about the same amount of energy as it would be to have a laptop plugged in for the same amount of time.
Okay. And what about opportunities for grants? Are there any, or?
There are none that I am aware of at this time, but we do have a team here who are kind of having a look at what granting opportunities and what funding mechanisms might be available, and we'd be very happy to support in that process.
All right, thank you. Further questions? Rod?
No questions. Probably more thoughts. We do use it at our house, and it makes a big difference in the amount of garbage going out. It is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing I guess we got to think about, if you were going to buy into some sort of a green bin program, of course, there's going to be a cost to that, and it's basically going to be weekly cost, I guess, and ongoing. So on first glance, $340 a unit sounds like a lot, but I think if you figured it out, it probably isn't. The one thing I see about giving them away is perhaps you don't get the buy-in from people if you're just putting it on their doorstep. Are they going to be dedicated to doing it, right? So that you may want to say, well, $50, or you pick a number, I don't know, but something where somebody sort of says, I believe in this and I'm going to put my $50 down, whatever, and away we go. It certainly sounds like a good idea if we're thinking about green bins and recycling organics.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Rod. All for getting people involved, but you're right. They need some investment. $340. You won't get as many people involved. And if you make it totally free, yeah, people just take free stuff. I know I do. So I 100% agree with that. And I think one of the issues that we have here, we're seeing more and more bears, let's say. And, you know, most people are being pretty good about their garbage, but the more organics we can get out of our garbage, the better. Plus, we have a very slim timeline on the Tobermory landfill, and even though we've got that solved per se, less garbage is just better. But the cost, if we were to, I think we need to look at the cost, because if we were to figure out $340 per our ratepayers, yeah, we need to look at the funding. Anyway, thank you.
All right, any further questions, Rod?
Yeah, just one thought that when we're talking about costing, maybe we could just do a sort of seat of the pants estimates on what a green bin program. I mean, we can go someplace that does it and say, what does your per person cost for a green bin program? And we can weigh it against what this would cost, just to give us some idea.
All right. No further questions?
Perfect. And sorry, we'd be happy to, you know, provide you with a proposal. So you have the costing in that would be able to inform your comparison for what a green bin program might entail for you as well.
All right. We will discuss that, and if we have further interest, we'll certainly get back to you. And it sounds like we do have some interest, so
Yeah.
you'll probably be hearing from us. Thank you for your
Perfect.
presence.
Thank you so much, everyone, and have an enjoyable and hopefully warmer rest of the afternoon.
All right. Next we go to, just have to. Our next delegation is Tobermory Chamber of Commerce, Kent Wilkens, Darci, Lombard, and Brian Woelfle. Good, welcome. Hey, ladies and gentlemen.
Close enough? Turn it on. All right, turn it on. You can hear me. Darci is our new president. I'm sitting in this chair just because she doesn't want to do the presentation. And Brian, I don't know if you've met him, but our fabulous new coordinator for the chamber, been with us for a little over a year. Yep. Yeah, doing a great job. So he might be able to answer some of your questions that I don't have answers to. What I would like to do with the presentation is start off just basically, we'll just go through the pages. You don't need to listen to me talk about all the stuff in them because most of it's you already know until we hit about page 11. And then we will, and in between as we hit each slide, if you have any questions, feel free to ask and we can answer them at that point. Okay, does that sound fair? Okay, so first page, any questions? No. Second page, table of contents, no questions, thank you. Third page, executive summary. Give you a minute to look that over. You all good? Okay. Page 4. Top of it is the objectives of the chamber as outlined by the organization's bylaws to promote and improve trade and commerce of the business community, to encourage the economic, civic, and social welfare of the district, and to operate in a non-sectarian, non-sectional, and shall not as an organization support nor promote any candidate for any public or political office. And then our objectives objectives and strategy. Increase visitors to North Bruce Peninsula, enhance the Northern Bruce Peninsula's national and international profile, support tourism product development and industry growth in the Northern Bruce Peninsula, bolster tourism infrastructure, target promotion to increase or spread out tourism into the shoulder season. Item 6, market different activities and locations to decrease bottlenecks and, where applicable, support the priorities that are set by the municipality of Northern Bruce Peninsula's tourism and economic development. Page 5, visitor statistics. We don't have 2025 located in this simply because it's not over yet and we're still adding to them somewhat. But as you can see, there was a drop going up to COVID, and that could be just a question of the staff not taking the same diligence to record numbers as they are at other times, okay? So, but 2020 saw a significant drop, although it wasn't too bad a year. 2021 bounced back up. 2022 stayed about even with 2021. 2023 an increase. 2024 another increase. This year, the stats that I have from the current document is 34,000, so up significantly from other years. And part of that was, we'll get into it a little further on, is the kiosk we added to the harbor at Lion's Head. So that increased the numbers, but overall, all of our information areas were up 10, 15, 20%. Am I wrong on that?
Not at all.
Yeah. Don't have any current numbers for the 2024 monthlies, but you can assume that they're up a percentage from what they're shown there. And inquiry locations, and again, like I mentioned, we don't have on this one the visitor information booth that we put in down in the harbor in Lion's Head, okay, to show the spread of that. Page 6. And this is all just basic background information to who we are, where we're located, and what we're servicing, and all the different parks, etc. Go up just a touch. I think you'll get the rest of those on there, that the other way up. There you go. Okay. And then we have the regional tourism strategies on page 7. Northern Bruce Peninsula Tourism Strategy, Sustainable Tourism Action Plan. All fairly simple and straightforward. Any questions on that? South Bruce Peninsula, next page, what they're up to, very similar to what we're doing. Bruce Trail Conservancy. And noted in here, today's challenge is clear that the work of the Bruce Trail Conservancy has never been so important. That's why, to address these challenges, the Bruce Trail Conservancy has developed the 2030 strategy centered on 5 strategic interconnected goals that also support sustainable visitation to the region. One of our partners in tourism. Bruce County has their own strategy, but they're all overlapping and all very similar to each other for obvious reasons. And then page 9, we have the RTO7, Regional Tourism Organization, and their strategy. So any questions on that?
Just as a matter of interest, what about RTO7? Do you work closely with RTO7?
I don't actually deal with them myself, and I don't think I ever have, but we do have a.
We're separate from them. We're quite supportive, and I know they're STAG as well. That's correct, right? So they do quite a bit, and one of their big pushes is sustainable tourism and looking at, longevity of our communities. For instance.
Yeah, I was just wondering, is Kim Clarke still?
Yeah, Kim Clarke is generally the person that she does all the communication with me anyway, and I think that she's on STAG as well, right?
All right. Thank you.
Oh, Darci summed it up pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any further questions on RTO7? No. Okay, now comes into page 10, initiatives and partnerships, current and future initiatives. So we've done our boundary change with the chamber and renamed it. Took a little while to get that pounded through the federal government, but all done and good. And we're working on an updated logo to reflect those changes. That'll be part of our branding for the chamber and for developing tourism. We currently do Tobermory map pads. We've been doing that for a long time. We stick with what works, and it does. Lion's Head is added to that now. And we're looking at updating how that is presented, and that was a recent discussion in our most recent board meeting, and we'll be probably making adjustments to how that goes in the future. We also have the Tobermory and Northern Bruce Peninsula brochure, which is a color brochure that's sent out to our regional partners and out to Manitoulin, Cheecham Ferry, and various other places in the province, and is very effective and used by a lot of people. Also contains maps and advertising for the businesses and what businesses are currently available. So very effective. Now we've taken that whole concept and we've made information boards, and that's a initiative this year, something I had the idea of doing it with many years ago, but never got it off the ground, but finally off the ground. And thanks to Brian for a large part on getting that updated. So we've been putting them, I think, well, we got six currently, and putting them in several places in Lion's Head, several places up at Tobermory. And we also, I think we want to add the information center at the terminal too.
Not yet, no.
But we're hoping to, yeah. So it has both the maps, has what businesses are available, and also has a QR code so they can link direct to our websites. So again, presenting that static information when you don't have a live person to talk to. And then initiatives going beyond that, we have cruise ships that keep coming in. That's pretty well exclusively to Tobermory at this point. Not as many coming next year, just 2. Okay, last year was 8, 10. This year was 8.
No, we had about 10, I think.
Okay, principally from 2 different companies. Yeah. And they're good enough to send us notification of when they're showing up, and so we have a list of what days they're supposed to be there. And we usually don't pay too much attention to it. We notice when there's a boat sitting out in the water and go, oh, they're here. Or we see the little orange things coming into the harbor, but it's still handy to have. Then there's Tobermory Marketplace. Do you want to talk on that?
Sure. This was the 3rd year for the Tobermory Marketplace. First year I kind of handled it for the entire year. We redid the rules and regulations for it, kind of presented as more professional looking. We worked with the fee structure, did a lot of advertisement for it, and we had a really good turnout of vendors this year. And the sailings were wonderful enough to let us use their parkette at the harbor, which is a great spot for a lot of foot traffic to come and go.
Ken, if I could just go back to the cruise ship thing. So did you notice much of an impact on town when they show up?
Personally, I do. It depends on the demographics of the ones getting off the boat. But the Americans are very good spenders.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, when they show up, it's definitely worthwhile having them drop in, and doesn't seem to overtax the structure of the town, because each one of those boats only has about 200 to 400 people at the most. I think the Hapag-Lloyd boats were up around 400, but most of the ones we see coming in now are around 250 people at max. So it doesn't swamp the town or anything. It's quite manageable. And and they come in looking to take stuff home or get stuff shipped.
Smoky.
I was just gonna say the days that they came in when the market, there were a few this year, quite a few on Wednesdays, and they enjoyed the market, and it was just a great kind of vibe. They came around, looked at talked to people, and I think it was a welcome feeling, and I think they all enjoyed it. And I know the vendors did. They maybe didn't it wasn't like crazy spending, but it was certainly a plus for both, you know, them and us.
Okay, selfie stands. It's an idea that came up at Chamber to build some stands that it's done or other places overseas, et cetera. That's where the idea came from, and we're still working on that. Website development, you'll be talking about that just shortly. I think that's the second delegation, but we're looking at expanding our website as well as possibly adding another completely new component to it. The Lions Head downtown kiosk had that idea to implement that, and that's a nice thing about having the chamber where we can actually react fairly quickly. So we'd seen this as a possibility in the past and been considering it, and this spring we said let's do it, and had it built within a month and a half, and I think installed around June the 20th. Initial was to have it somewhere downtown. Those locations didn't seem to work out quite as easily, and my own personal opinion was the harbor down in the beach area was a better spot for it. And it allows you to get that personal one-on-one presence with people so that people have questions. And I'll let Brian speak on that in a second. But it also allows us to put up our signage, those signage boards, so that there's nobody staffing the booth. You can still see what's available and hit the QR codes. And having a kiosk as opposed to like a portable tent is far more effective because you don't have the downtime, you don't have the issues with wind and rain, and there's some other issues with that kiosk location currently, but otherwise it was very effective. Brian?
Yeah, Kent hit on most of them anyways. The couple issues we had was one resident didn't like where the location was blocking their view of the beach. The only couple issues we had was for the location, there was no electricity for the kiosk. So in the mornings, there were some days when it was quite cold in there. We couldn't run a heat or anything like that. And we were in a dead zone from the Wi-Fi between the pavilion and the campground. So even if we wanted to look up something on our phone to help out somebody, it was almost impossible, especially if the beach was full. It seems like if the beach was full, there was a real strain on the available Wi-Fi as it was. I did work down there myself for a couple of days, so I could speak to what the challenges were. The location was ideal. I found a lot of people went down Moore Street to go to the beach, so they totally missed the downtown. They didn't realize there was a downtown Lions Head, so you could direct them back towards the shops and the restaurants there. They would come and ask for work, can I get a cup of coffee? Because they didn't realize there was shops in Lions Head, so that was really helpful, the location. So other than the few little hiccups, we had about 5,000 people hit the kiosk from like end of June until just around Labor Day. So.
Any questions on the kiosk? Next page, 12, establishing partnerships. As mentioned, we plan to work toward our goals for the region through partnerships, whether that is with larger regional organizations or those closer to home. There are many organizations focusing on a similar goal of enhancing and fine-tuning the tourist experience. For example, Keep the Bruce Clean and Green helps promote responsible visitation and sustainable practices. And the Meeting Place Tobermory has a new e-bike rental service to promote emission-free transportation. A perfect option for those who may want to be more active and experience the beauty of the area from a different perspective, allowing access to locations beyond walking distance without necessitating a vehicle. With the implementation of bylaw 2024-23 by the Municipality of Northern Bruce Peninsula, effective January 1st, 2025, the municipal accommodation tax has expanded and will now be collected from such businesses as hotels, motels, bed and breakfasts. With this, the 50% net revenue dispersed to the Tobermory and Northern Bruce Chamber of Commerce will increase. We haven't seen it yet, though. In addition to providing the tourism information services for the municipality and continual working on providing enhanced experiences and better services, the Chamber looks to begin establishing relationships with other tourism-related partners pending budget availability to help achieve the goals of the Chamber and the municipality. In order to do so, the Chamber will create a MAT committee to determine the process for which the fund will be distributed to other tourism-related partners and how amounts will be determined. An open and transparent application and evaluation process will be established and be available for tourism-related partners to access for funding assistance with their projects or programs to promote and develop tourism in the municipality. The MAT committee will clearly set out the parameters required to receive allocation of funds and must be satisfied with the likelihood of success the project programs will have in the promotion and development of tourism in the municipality. The Chamber and the associated tourism-related partner will enter into a service agreement to outline requirements and expectations to ensure reasonable financial accountability. Any questions on that? Really? Okay.
It sounds like what we're asking for, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it is. It is. Anyways, we've been working back and forth with this for a while. So we have the next several slides are phase one, moving towards the future, and that's pretty well done. We have a top full-time coordinator to help us move those things forward. And everything's fairly straightforward on that sheet. Phase two, basic slight differences in what the programs will be offering as we move forward. You have this new line called New Projects, Promotions, and Partnerships, which the future will reveal to us. And we are looking at an assistant coordinator, which will be from April to November. So basically full part-time from that period, if I'm reading that right. Phase three, similar to phase two, we'll just gradually move forward with those phases. And then phase four, similar, and adding staff as necessary and programs as necessary as the funding allows. When the MAT tax first came in, as you know, it came up probably about half of what we were expecting. So we weren't able to implement quite a few of those things right off the bat. But with this change in the MAT tax, we shouldn't have any trouble doing that. But probably would help if we had some more of a concrete guideline on what funds were coming and at what point in time they would be showing up so that we can actually budget accordingly for it.
These phases, Ken, you don't really have a timeline for them. It's as it happens.
So they're based on funding and staffing abilities and what the needs are as well. So we will be identifying future tourism, sustainable tourism needs. And
Yes.
Well, just when I first read this, I'm so impressed. Like it is a great picture for the future, and it's forward thinking, it's comprehensive, and if anything, I think we have to keep up with you guys because we've got a couple issues I know with the chamber and being at a few meetings, the parking, the issue with Lion's Head with the Wi-Fi and the chargers are all, and we do have reports on today, you know, we will, you know, be addressing that. And also like the big thing on this too is you guys are ready, but the budget. And I guess I would just ask if Peggy, do we have any final results on the MAT tax? What can be expected? I know it didn't even close till the end of October. Was that when the businesses were to have the next phase submitted, or do I have any idea?
So the businesses are to provide us with MAT quarterly basis. I can pass it over to the treasurer to provide you with an update on that.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just trying to bring the numbers up.
Yeah, I'm sorry for short notice, Asa, but I'm sure you guys are interested as well. We may not get full answers today, but so much of this depends on the budget.
Yeah, the information presented today may not be, it may be a little incomplete, I guess, Teresa, I don't know.
Yes, I can just tell you what it is today. 590,000 today.
But that's before expenses.
Right.
So
And
that's
that's
what we have to,
total.
That's
Yeah.
the total, not the 50%.
That's right.
yeah, and as I said, before expenses.
What do you consider to be expenses?
Oh, a lot.
I've seen your budget, so.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there's a number of things. It's a whole page of expenses actually, and it's in the budget.
Okay.
You can check last year's budget, Kent, and it's a good guide as to what we have for expenses. Yeah.
So is there any kind of deadline when we will see some firmer numbers on this? Or does it depend on when we finalize the budget? Just because a lot of this is pending.
So the, what we provide is, because this is an annual program now, there's no firm shut-off date as to when MAT is not, it has to be put in. Our deadline for MAT for this fiscal year is December 31st. So we will have an accurate representation following in April of 2026, when we actually finalize our numbers for MAT for 2025. We do have, I would say this year, because last year we did increase through adding hotels and bed and breakfast. It's been a bit of a fluctuation for the past 2 years. I think this year we'll have a bit more firm number as to how we are collecting that number. But we won't have a firm number till December 31st. And then it continues on.
But considering like the majority of our tourism is is not November and December, should we not have like at least a ballpark figure? We should be able to say what our expenses are. We should be able to know what was sent in by the end of October. Because I can see where so many of these great ideas are dependent. I mean, I'm sure they won't have us, rate, no, that's, so much out. But will we have a somewhat of an idea?
Well, I think what we can say is we recognize the importance of it and we will get them as quickly as we can to you. So, but it will definitely, once we close off the books for the year, once that gives us a more accurate, because sometimes our expenses don't come in for a little while. So, but as I said, if you take a look at the expenses from last year, it gives you a ballpark as to basically where what we look at for expenses. And yeah.
I may just add to that as well. I think just moving forward, recognizing this is all new and the dollar figures are new. Probably for our like longevity and planning, if we could establish a twice a year payment date that was concrete, whether it be, mid-January and in spring or fall or something like that. So we have that, just so we can sort of say, these are our plans for this year, and we can have our budgeting meeting and all of that. It would be appreciated. And that would, so if we can maybe this year figure that out.
Yeah,
and set
we
the date.
should be able to give you a good estimate on that, and we will definitely work on that as well.
I think the agreement had 2 dates in it, but
Yeah.
It's just on our end, and isn't a complaint. It's just the reality of having to deal with the new system, and we understand it from your side as well. But we had 1 year in which the coordinator reported that we're out of money. And that was a week before we got a check from the municipality, and we weren't out of money. We're doing okay. But so if we have an idea of when that's supposed to be coming in, then that just will keep us so we won't bother you as much. Okay.
Yep.
Now on a couple of other issues, would you rather us come back for another delegation for a few of the things we'd like the municipality to look at for us? Or do you want to talk about that now?
There's nothing wrong with presenting that information to us. I mean, we can always, yeah.
Okay, well, one of the issues was the timing of the paid parking. Okay, so we got it to stop on the
Yep.
15th of September
Yes.
this year, and that was much appreciated, although we had heard it was going to be right after Labor Day, and that didn't quite materialize. And then we had heard that it was going to start just before July weekend or perhaps June 15th this year, but that didn't materialize. And what we would like to see is probably at least from the 15th of June to the 15th of September. So you hit the peak of the season where you're going to gather in the bulk of your paid parking funds, but then that gives you a time period to encourage our travelers to come back when they don't have to deal with paid parking and when the parking lots are generally empty. Now, personally, I monitor it, as you probably know, in my gallery quite a bit. And I get very few complaints about the paid parking in the middle of summer when you can't find parking. People don't tend to mind paying $3 an hour to park if you can't find parking. But when the parking lot's empty, yeah, they're a bit grumpy about that. They're going, why? And I understand that. So, and you're not going to be raising that much money that time period anyway.
Yeah, we can check that out too.
So
See what, yeah.
We would like to have that looked at again, start on the 15th of June. And you have less policing to do then as well, if you have a shorter time period to do that within. And that doesn't mean you have to do it through either it can be particular spots you could still police and continue with your paid parking, but for the bulk of it, yeah, we'd like to see a cutback to that time period. What was the other issue? The enforcement of the paid parking. Yeah, a lot of issues there. Lindsey sent you a letter on that issue. So if you could take a really good look at that, seeing people getting ticketed within minutes of parking, they don't even have time to go to the machine. Machines don't work that well. There's a lot of issues with that. So if you can take a good look at that. What was the other issue we were looking at?
You mean separate from paid?
Yes, separate from paid parking.
I would say on the paid parking, we do, if you see on today's agenda, there is some.
Yep, there's a report there.
Yes,
Okay.
from Carol. I think you'll be, happy with
Okay.
if it all works out.
So we're back on December the 8th with our delegation on the Minch deck. So we've spent your 15,000 on the engineering. So we'll be asking for that to be forwarded over to us if that's okay. But you'll see whether that's worthwhile or not once we give the presentation. And we'll be looking at moving that project forward with your approval, of course. But the designs have come out really nice, a lot of little fine tuning things. But we're looking forward to that presentation on the 8th. And okay.
All right, Kent, are there any questions on Kent's presentation? Any further questions? If not, we will thank you for that presentation and we will go to the next one. And we have a gentleman.
Yeah, I would just introduce, if you want, I could introduce Lee and just give a
yes.
little background if that's helpful. Oh, I'm supposed to sit in a big chair now.
So Darci, before you begin, is there someone joining us via Zoom? Yes, okay. Yes, okay. Good. All right.
Hello. I'm here.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, they're not.
Okay, I don't know how I turned it off, but yeah, so just a real quick introduction of Lee. So he works for a company called Welcome Platform Technologies, and they have been for quite a few years. I'm not sure how many, been working with towns doing an app on a phone, basically geared for newcomers. So people coming to a town so they can learn about what's going on in the city and how to integrate themselves. So they've been doing that for a while, and recently they want to venture into tourism. So this is a new initiative for them. Excuse me. And Lee is a friend of one of our board members and he's been coming up to Tobermory for a while. So when they started doing the tourism focus with this app, he presented that or mentioned it to Lee, and they did a presentation to the chamber in the spring, I believe it was. Yeah. So I always run out of breath when I talk. So anyway, so the presentation was done in the spring for the chamber, and it's basically about an app that would highlight all of the tourism opportunities in the area. And we thought it was worthwhile to keep sort of investigating, but we also thought it would be maybe a good idea to partner with the municipality. So this is one of those projects that Ken talked about, like another project if we have the funding for it. So that's why we wanted to present this to you. I'll let Lee speak on the app, but it looks like a good opportunity, just another way to connect with visitors. As you all know, if you want to get information out, you have to do it 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 10 different ways. So having another app in the community to highlight what people can do and divert people from the iconic places might be a useful and worthwhile endeavor. So Lee's going to tell you about the app, and then we can talk further if you have questions today. And we were looking at perhaps a little committee with perhaps, well, Smokey being on that with the chamber, and then just a group of us to kind of further investigate if we have other questions to see if we want to continue. So just an information session, and I'll pass it over to Lee. So.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to sharing this with you all. I guess I'll just say next slide because I don't think I can share my screen. You guys have a visual there. Is that right?
Yes, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Okay, yeah, so let's jump into it. As mentioned by Darci, I'm actually the CEO of Welcome Platform Technologies. One of my good friends moved from my hometown to Tobermory, and I have had a chance to visit them on a number of occasions. I've always loved that area. A couple very important pivotal moments too that I was able to share there. So when we decided we were going to expand into tourism, it was always part of our company's roadmap, and we made a decision just at the beginning of the end of last year that we'd be going to market in the tourism vertical in 2025. I mentioned it to Marty before I mentioned it to anybody else. And I said, would Tobermory be interested in learning about this before we start spending doing our marketing and go-to-market stuff? So I had a chance to present to them in the spring. What I believe is a very powerful tool that integrates inspiring visitors, engaging with visitors as part of elevating their actual experience, and then also remarketing and bringing visitors back to your community. The one thing I'll say is the ideas and the technology that we have in these apps that we're building across the country are never our own. The product actually embodies the sort of features and goals that organizations just like the Tobermory Chamber of Commerce and domestic or destination marketing organizations across the country have always wanted. But before our platform, there wasn't really a low risk way to do so. So we're a single platform that is powering a bunch of modular apps, which allows us to rapidly deploy an app stable live with zero upfront cost. And this, removes the risk of development, removes the risk of ongoing maintenance, support, improvements over time, because the platform's constantly improving. And then the other beautiful thing about it, which is why we're talking today, is that because we understand the nature of the public sector, I've been working with the public sector for over a decade. We understand that projects like these are all the result of collaboration. Our tool also has the ability to have multi-experience apps that integrate multiple different agencies and organizations. So I'll talk more about that later on, but here today, we're going to be talking about focusing on the tourism component for Tobermory and the Northern Bruce Peninsula. So you can go into the next slide there. Our mission at the Welcome Platform is we're trying to use technology to help build a more welcoming world, whether it's welcoming people that work, to live, or to play. And today we'll be talking more about that. Next slide. One thing to mention too is our underlying mission, the Welcome platform. As mentioned, we did start with newcomer applications to help onboard newcomers in communities. There's actually a lot of tourism communities that rely on temporary workers and newcomers as well. But ultimately, our goal is about equity and access for everybody, whether they're someone that has whether they have disabilities that make using other forms of technology difficult, or if they have language barriers. Our apps are the most accessible apps in the market, and we'll talk more about that too. And that's why we raised funds from Social Enterprise Fund, Verge Capital. They backed us in 2023. You can go to the next slide. So one thing I'll touch on is we decided to make this launch into tourism. Like I said, at the end of last year, we approached the City of London for a super app for their whole city. Basically, what that means is users that download the app and state that they're visitors upon registration have an entirely different experience that highlights deals, itineraries, attractions, local information, and they also interact with our AI assistant, Navi, which is a tourism assistant. If they are students, they have a different experience. If they are newcomers, they have a different experience. And if they're residents, they have a different experience. So all of those are managed by different organizations in the city. And it's truly, really remarkable feat that we brought that all into one central experience. So you don't need like 10 different apps. You can just have one. And they've actually just launched just a few months ago in London, sort of a soft launch with a huge push in 2026. I believe actually all of their MAT-funded events are going to be required to promote the app at all the events, and they're also going to be engaging a very large number of partners that are going to be promoting it throughout the city as well. So that's just, if anyone's interested, you guys can check out the My London app on the App Store. You can go to the next slide. So here's what I mentioned earlier about the personalized experience. So the whole belief that we have is that the experience is only going to be relevant if it's tailored to the individual. So for Tobermory, it could be a way for you to potentially help provide workforce for your tourism businesses. It could match people that are interested in the waterfront versus people that are interested in trails and hikes or arts and culture. Registration has a quick questionnaire where we understand the user and their experience is tailored based on that. You can go to the next slide. So when it comes to tourism specifically, everything from promoting and highlighting attractions, food and drink options, accommodations and places to stay, pulling events into the events calendar, building in saved maps, guides, and itineraries. On the map side, I know there's a number of areas from my own experience where signal strength isn't always great. So the ability to save maps directly into the app so that your visitors are never stuck, lost somewhere without ability to navigate home with GPS and save maps. Also business directory and local stories and more. So an opportunity for you guys to highlight things that are happening and also stories around the community that you'd like to share with visitors or even locals working in the tourism industry. You can go to the next slide. So I mentioned accessibility before. Our platform supports 130 languages. That's more languages by far than any platform. You could, quickly check an app that was built in Toronto. That app was, just built for newcomers specifically, but it only supports 2 languages. The reason is because most of the time on mobile, language translation is very difficult, but our company built proprietary language translation technology that leverages AI and provides a really high quality language translation. So visitors from any background in any place will have a really enjoyable experience navigating the community using apps that are powered by our platform. We also have web accessibility features for text to speech, text size. People that are using voice readers makes their experience very positive as well. You can go to the next slide. One of the things we're really excited about with our Welcome platforms is how it can inform strategy, policy, decisions that you guys make at the leadership level. Being able to see demographic data of who's coming in, what they're experiencing, how they're experiencing the community, what they're interested in, and how those trends change over time is very powerful. Being able to understand what their interests and affinities are and how that changes over time, and then also how your partners are being engaged by the audience. All of those are ways that you guys will have data that you never had before about your visitors, even if a small percentage of them are an install base, just because the volume of visitors that you have, you'll reach a statistical significance pretty quickly, and that data will be very informative. You can go to the next slide. The other part about the app, like I mentioned before, is not just a way to inspire people to come here into your community. It's not just a way to elevate the experience of everyone that's there, maximizing how much money they spend. Obviously, those economic impacts are going to be significant. But beyond that, it's about the ongoing engagement. Typically, when people return home, you're hoping that they, will come back to your community again. With a tourism app that they'll have installed on their phone, you now have a direct marketing channel that costs you nothing to reach back out to people that are all over the country, in the States, wherever they came from, directly to their phone, ping them, and invite them to come back and experience other parts of your community. And that was mentioned in your strategic plan as well, thinking about those shoulder seasons. This is a great way to let people know what other things are available and what things people can experience at the early spring or later on in the fall, and allow you to maximize your season and maximize the revenue potential. And again, Facebook ads, Google ads, any type of advertising normally comes with a significant cost. This is arguably more data informed, more direct, higher level of conversion, and it's not going to cost anything. So really a remarkable addition that I think is worth mentioning. You can go to the next slide. The app is not just information the way that you would see on websites and things like that. It's an interactive experience. So you can push notifications to people during their visit to ping them of certain things, make them aware of certain things. You can use that, like I said, just before to do marketing, but also so you can do experience surveys when people return home, ask them how their experience was like, capture feedback. You can also direct surveys directly to your tourism partners in the community, to workers that are working here, and get a finger of the pulse of how they're feeling about different things. And because we have the registration data, we have the ability to ask a simple question like, did you enjoy your visit, or would you consider coming back again? And rather than saying 70% said yes, we could say 70% said yes, but 80% of people with children said yes, and 50% of seniors said yes. And that could illustrate a whole number of other things that would be very informative for a community like yours. There's also built-in itineraries that people can interact with. They can sort of complete the itineraries and progress through experiencing different parts of the Northern Bruce Peninsula. And again, that's what makes it different than a website, because it's just highly interactive on a number of levels. You can go to the next slide. So I mentioned AI briefly before. Navi's our personal travel navigator. It's an AI assistant that's trained on your entire community, all the resources you provide, all of the different partner websites and things like that. And it allows people to use natural language, whatever language they like, to ask questions about where to go, what they should do, how to maximize their time there, how to route different maps and order their trip so that they're not spending time overwhelmed or trying to figure out how they're going to spend their trip and their vacation in the Northern Bruce Peninsula, but rather just quickly in actually going out and doing things and letting our AI assistant kind of relieve some of that planning and determination and of what they're going to be doing and where they're going to be going. You can go to the next slide. And this is the other piece of it too. It's about connecting visitors to your organizations, referring to your partners, letting them know what's happening in the area, what updates. For example, if you were to we have an app in Jasper. As many know, they had some obviously challenges in recent years with fires, in other areas in Atlantic Canada with storms. The ability to be able to issue updates directly in the app to alert people of different things that would help improve their safety, make them aware of different things that are happening in real time. That's a huge advantage again for your visitors, and gives your community a lot more control and influence, which ultimately will help a number of different strategic priorities. You can go to the next slide. So as I mentioned before, we have multiple licenses. So we've got a tourism license, and we've got a entrepreneurship and workforce development sort of module, which comes with a business helper hub. It also comes with a job matching feature. Users could opt into this, describe kind of the career they're looking for, the work they want to be doing, and it will actually match them with job opportunities. Every week in London, hundreds of job matches are sent to users, and it's one of the highest engaged segments of our user base in London. This could be a way for people that visit Tobermory that want to go back and work there. Be seasonal workers, students, people, all different kinds of people that just want to start a business. They can also access information about Tobermory in the app and be connected to opportunities as well. So again, it's optional. Like every feature in our app is modular, but it's a cool feature for communities that are looking to build the workforce development to support the economic components of the community. Like in your case, it would be tourism. So just something that I wanted to mention there as well. Go to the next slide. Unlike most apps, like I mentioned a couple of times so far, we're a platform. And what that means is that we have our own content management system on the back end for our partners to use to access and manage the application. You don't need to call a developer to make updates. You don't need to use code. This is all part of our sort of integrated system that makes apps like this actually feasible and sustainable. It wouldn't be if we were doing it the old way, but we've built this entire platform from scratch. And that's, again, what makes it so collaborative and accessible for our partners to manage. And you can go to the next slide. And the last thing I think I want to touch on before I open it up to questions is that our platform's evolving constantly. So our clients, they get an app with us, and it will continuously be updated. At least every month, we're constantly making improvements to, when the iOS updates happen or Android store updates happen, maintaining compliance, security, privacy, all the things that are a massive undertaking for a municipality to normally undergo. We provide all of that turnkey. And what that also means is we've got features that continuously get added, and our clients have the opportunity to add them if they like at no additional cost. And we're continuously improving the app to make it more useful rather than just building it, to spec for a community and then saying, hope it works and good luck with it. So investing in building on our platform is a long-term investment where you'll continue to see the results and the improvements over time and continue to have your feedback heard amongst our other members from across the country. I think that's it. So I think the floor is yours for anyone that has questions, and I'd be happy to answer them.
All right. Thank you for your presentation, Lee. And any questions of Lee? Questions? Yes.
I guess, well, as you know, we are also representing not just the Tobermory area, but the Upper Bruce Peninsula. And I notice here you even have like itineraries. I guess one of the issues we have is they're not an issue, they're welcome, but our day trippers, I guess, and I feel the tourism industry also feel that longer extended stays are important, because right now we see a lot of people, come up for the day, maybe go on a boat tour, and you should see them walking around town going, what do we do now if the boats are canceled, like the tour boats? So I see here you become involved in that, or I'm just wondering how that works. Or I see the value of this because then people are able to plan other things or plan an extended stay. But I'm just wondering where they do that, how they do that, or they just go on, they just look at everything and do that themselves. Or is there like an application where you can make reservations and things like that?
It's a good question. So there wouldn't be like reservations or any direct integrations with the actual operations of within the community directly through the app. It's really meant to be a central point, but also a digital asset that the community has influence and ownership of. So, so let's say someone is looking for something to do and is kind of lost of where they should go. The app can very quickly and with context provide guidance to those individuals or that family about how they can spend their time. And the goal for us specifically in our tourism product is all about maximizing the revenue potential. When people are there, they're willing to spend money, they're willing to have a good time and sort of invest in that time. But they do, like you said, they might just be there for a couple of days or a day trip, and it's very fleeting. So we want to make sure that we're getting them to the attractions, to the businesses, making sure that they're staying busy. And we do that by mapping your entire community. So this is the whole Northern Bruce Peninsula, and then providing that context to our AI assistant, but then also letting individuals just simply search attractions, find out what's open. Our AI itinerary builder, basically they go in, they say how long they're there for, what their interests are, and then it builds them an itinerary in just a matter of seconds. And if there's something in that itinerary they don't like, they can actually just randomly regenerate that part of their itinerary till they're happy with it, and then they can save it so they have a plan for their trip. So very quickly, a family can have a whole itinerary for a multi-day trip, like literally in 5 minutes. And this is, again, one of the areas where we elevate the experience and planning. But there's obviously a lot more that the app does on remarketing and promotion and recommending deals to visitors as well.
Thank you. I'm sure there's a lot more to learning what's on there, but that's a start. Thank you.
All right, Alon?
Sir, would you mind just clarifying again what the initial and ongoing costs of using the platform are?
Yes. So since we reached out to Tobermory early, I had proposed, and again, I have a board member that's a friend of mine. I said, if you guys are interested in moving forward with something like this in our first cohort, we did provide a price break. So our normal standard rates are $25,000 a year per license, and we offer 3 licenses at cost, and we provide all of our newcomer services for free, as long as there's one of the other licenses that come with it. We are open to moving forward with a proposal for the Northern Bruce Peninsula and your municipality for $20,000, which is less than the cost of one of our licenses, but we'd be including 2 of them for you. So it's about normally a $50,000 per year annual commitment, but for you guys it'd be about $20,000. The terms of that agreement obviously are important, so those aren't defined, and we haven't submitted a formal proposal. But in our initial meeting, we provided that pricing, and we'll be honoring that pricing for your community moving forward.
All right, thank you. Any further questions, Ramon?
And just a question about the content of the app and how that's managed and updated. So that's done by the user, correct? And then the AI tool just works off whatever the user has input into your platform. Is that correct?
Yeah. So content. Are you saying content or context?
Sorry, content. So like the attractions and stuff and all.
Yeah, so we actually populate that in partnership with you guys at launch. And then we manage and update it with you guys as well, depending on the terms of the agreement. So content will be up to date and managed. It's a big area of concern. And we're also launching in probably Q3 of 2026, our content accuracy AI agent, which will effectively communicate with members of the community and businesses on its own autonomously through email, text, and phone calls, and constantly update the app even beyond what's available online. Because what we've learned, we're deployed with AI across the country in a number of communities. What we've learned is that the AI is actually quite accurate, but the data it's pulling from isn't always up to date. So there are websites that are out of date, and because of that, we've been developing a solution so that we're even more up to date than some of the stuff that's available online.
That's good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your presentation. Lots of information to provide to our visitors, I guess, through this app. for sure. And also an opportunity for us to gain some information back, I guess, through surveys and things like that. So sounds like a good idea. All right. Thank you for your presentation. Much appreciated.
Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, Lee. And then just to add to that, what we were proposing is that we would, like the chamber and municipality would split that cost and we would work together to develop the app and recognizing that garbage in is garbage out, right? So we really need engagement from stakeholders and from everybody to keep that content, which it sounds like they have a way to remind us, which is great.
Yeah.
Because everybody gets
Okay.
busy, right? So it seemed like a great initiative. So if we wanted to speak further, then the next steps would be developing a committee of from the chamber and anyone from council that would be
Okay.
wanting to be part of that, and then set some timelines so we could, ask the questions and dive in more deeply, and then set a timeline so we could roll it out for the next season.
All right. So let us think about that.
Yeah.
And we typically don't commit a whole lot until we do look at our budget.
Sure.
So we can have some discussion, and staff will also provide some information for us as well. So, but Darci, do you have a little more to add, or?
No, I think I was just.
We were thinking that your portion of the contribution we know that you're gonna be scrambling to find out what you're gonna actually do with all this extra money.
Yes, I know.
Event stuff.
We're scratching our heads already.
Mine's perfect.
10 grand of it.
And I think all of them.
Patch you on it.
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot all about that, but thank you for that, Kat. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right. Well, thank you all for your time and.
Well, thank all of you. Oh, sorry, Todd.
If we were to go ahead with this for 26, what kind of a time frame would you have to work with? Like, once we said yes, how many months or weeks would this take to get started to be ready for the tourist season?
So we'd be hoping for a decision and the terms to be started, if possible, by just end of December. Just because we have a couple of other projects that are queued up for Q1 2026, and we'd like you guys to be well prepared before your tourism season. But just so you know, our technology enables us to get an app on the App Store in a couple of weeks. There's no capital building costs and deployment costs that normally come with other platforms. But we want to spend the time to do the pre-marketing, to inform your tourism partners, to get quality content, to engage everybody in a thoughtful way. And we typically think about 3 months is reasonable for that. So, we're into next year, February, March, April, and then, we're launching basically in the middle of spring would be our target.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Yes. Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. Right. We will go to agenda items. And number one on the agenda is the CAO's report. And it is regarding the Cabot Head Road. So we have been provided with some information by our CAO. And we are to provide direction. Yeah, Rod.
I don't know about providing direction right today, because I did see we got an email from Mike Campbell with some good ideas on it, and I wouldn't mind hearing from him. I don't know if he's on the agenda for next.
Unfortunately, our delegation requests have been pulled for until the end of the year. So we did send a communication to Mike stating that he could be in for January. For council's FYI, our procedural bylaw states that we allow 3 delegations per meeting.
Yeah, that's kind of disappointing, actually. Yeah. Because it would be, important, I think, to look at what our options are with partners on this.
I think in the CAO's report on page 3 there, it says public engagement. And there is a lot of work to do before we start talking about where we're heading with. And it is regarding, and I did read Mike's email as well. And I think there has to be, council has to really, there's a lot of a lot of things that we have to consider before we proceed with this. So, and I think Peggy has listed all the agencies here that we have to be involved with, and associations and landowners, and so it's a process actually that requires time and commitment. And yeah.
I had a couple of questions just about this report. I'm just wondering when is it appropriate to ask them today just to get some more information?
It's on the report. Yeah, absolutely.
I was just looking for, and it doesn't have to be today, but because we do need to deal with this issue, and I think we do need to make some decisions, and I think the more input that we have as far as options are important. My questions that I had just for today are on option number 2. It says limited vehicle types. And I was just wondering what that, like, more specific about that. Are we talking about cars, no buses? Like, I was just wondering what that entailed there.
Well, there's an awful lot of descriptions of what a vehicle type would be. And I think that's what we're asking council for. It could go anywhere from a golf cart to an ATV to an electric bicycle. So there's a lot of definitions of what a vehicle is. And so if that was an option that council wished us to move forward with, we could come back to you. However, that type of vehicle would also be part of the public engagement and asking, the neighbors and property owners, what would they see fit for certain types of vehicles to move forward on that.
To me, option 2 is like if I had to, and of course, we're not going to decide today. The option 2 seems very reasonable, but we just need to know, like, what are limited vehicle types. The other thing that I wanted to know was, has the municipality done any work on the washout or any areas on the road since we've had this issue, since we had the washout issue? Have we, as a municipality, done any work on the road to allow vehicles in there? Because I know they are accessing the site with some vehicles for the bird observatory and whatnot.
Yeah, certainly. After the original washout report did come to council regarding some minor repairs to allow vehicular traffic back there for the Friends of Cabot Head to get their artifacts out. And since that time, there's been we did do some minor repairs to allow the vehicles to go back. We added some gravel so they could traverse over the washed out areas. But since that time, there's been no funds.
Can you remind me what that date was?
The date, it was just
Even
right
the
after
year.
the washout. So I'm saying.
Okay, I'll look that up, but then.
I'm sorry, I'd have to get back to the exact
Okay,
date.
no, that's fine. But that is pursuant to my other question, is that if we don't do any work to that road, are we under any constraints time-wise? Like, I somehow had it in my head, if we didn't make repairs or whatever we're doing to that road within a certain time, it could have ramifications of what we're allowed to do. So that's why I have that question.
I don't believe so. That'd be a question for our legal team, but I believe that as it was stated in the legal opinion here, that after 2001, that we had spent funds on it. So therefore, it was classified as a municipal or a highway under the municipal,
yes.
under the Traffic Act, yes. Because there had been municipal funds spent on the previously on the road, so.
Thank you.
Rod?
Yeah, just a thought, I guess, and I guess it leads us into this as a council. Do we believe in Cabot's Head, period, for its educational, tourism value, historical value? Because as a council, if we do believe in Cabot's Head, then we've got to follow through with what one of these options here. So I think that's the first thing. If we went around here and everybody said, I could care less about Cabot's Head, that would be an issue, wouldn't it? So I think that's where we started. Do we believe in Cabot's Head?
And I guess, like, from a tourism perspective, if you asked me from a tourism perspective, then I'd really have to, because I've lived through the years where Dyer's Bay it was not a pleasant experience for the youth typically. So it was just, it's a lot of, during those years, it was a lot of traffic through a road that was never intended to handle that much traffic. So it was a safety concern, and it was a legitimate concern. It wasn't something that was.
And that brings forward, like, I made the proposal, which I still think is valid, in that vehicle traffic should be, except for people working like licensed and minimal vehicle traffic in the summer, whether we set that like we do parking June 15th to September 15th, whatever, and do allow people to access it, whatever we're going to decide as a vehicle in the spring and fall, because there's a few reasons for that, historical for certain, to extend our shoulder seasons in the spring and the fall. Most of our, I don't have numbers, but I do believe most of our cottagers or residents in the area, there's not the congestion issues in the spring and the fall. So that's just, and I've made that clear. That's my suggestion or my hope, but we need to see what's viable. I just feel that it's historically important. And as we grow, we're a tourism community, and it just keeps more so, whether we like it or not. And we do need to provide options for our visitors, because anybody that's gone someplace a few times, and it's definitely an asset, I believe, to our community. But we need to look at it in a sustainable manner, and that, deal with the people at Dyer's Bay. I do think we have people that are very interested in helping us make that possible without too much of, I guess, and it's going to depend. We need to look at the cost for the road, even to make it on option number 2. So that's my opinion.
So the other thing we look at is, sorry, do you want to? No. The other thing we have to look at too is the lighthouse itself. Are we looking at preserving the lighthouse?
The
cost of preserving the lighthouse? There's just I would have no idea. I haven't seen it.
I think when Michael comes here, perhaps he can speak to some of that. I'm not sure.
A long time. So I would have no idea what the restoration cost would be on that. And we have to also talk about a lease with who is it, Peggy, Department of Fisheries and Oceans, yeah.
It was restored. Like the big costs were already spent. And then when it closed, that's when we saw the issues with it.
Yeah, yeah. So
I think regardless of, the cost of the lighthouse restoration, I think we still should commit to move forward to restoring the road, because it still does have, whatever shape it's in, still has great, research and heritage value. And so I guess my one question is, Peggy, are you looking for direction on one of these options? Or are we moving to public engagement on these options? And then, or what are sort of our next steps to move forward?
So our next steps moving forward is, overall, we would like to have a direction on one of these options or an option that council would like to see occur. If it's a mixture of two. Public engagement is very crucial for this. That's even stated in the legal letter that we have. So that would be the next steps to at least inform stakeholders of what the intent is for council.
And sort of one other question. Are there any other studies that need to be done on the road before we can move ahead? Like, is there any chance that some of these options we may find out actually we can't do? Like a shore environmental assessment or anything like that, that could...
It may. We haven't actually done a site visit for a while. So it might. If we were to actually rebuild or maintain, we would have to have a professional engineer come in and take a look at it. So more information would come after that.
Just my thoughts. I like the idea of option 2 and 3, because if we do have it for limited vehicle types, there could be opportunity for a multi-use trail in the summer. Like if the options are unlimited with this, we could have vehicle traffic controlled in the spring and fall, but that could lead way to bike trails in the summer, which would open it up to a lot of people accessing a gem that's just sitting there that I would hate to see us maintain the status quo. Like I would like to rule number 4 off the table. And at least if we look at, say, 2 and 3 combined and get the public consultation on what's the best way to go, then at least we're moving forward. We're doing something and we're just not stuck doing nothing.
right.
So it sounds to me we do have a commitment to Cabot's Head, right? And that would be step 1. And then I think step 2 would be, and again, our commitment would be one of these options to get the road going again. And that would probably be as far as it would go initially, because I sort of realize what you're talking about. We don't want to get sucked into major projects. That probably best left to somebody else that's into it. But if we're committed to Lion's Head, Cabot's Head, we should be committed to getting out there some way or the other. And coupled with that, we'd have public engagement and more ideas thrown around.
So just to give our staff some indication of, so Todd has mentioned maybe look at the 2 and 3 option.
I think that's a good start, because we've taken 2 out of the mix already. Mm-hmm. We can fine tune it. That gives them something to work with, doesn't it? So
And we can get some public feedback, public input,
yeah.
public input on those too. So, you want to make that a motion, Ty?
Sure.
Seconder, Amon?
Can I say, so we are looking, just basically, we haven't chosen an option. We are looking at options 2 and 3.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so just, I guess, Peggy, to give us some idea of time frame or even public engagement, I mean, we're looking at the Dyers Bay community, which is not there in the wintertime. So it would be best, of course, if we were able to work with that group in the summer, but it does lengthen the time frame of it out for sure. But how do we, so to get the information out to all of these people, all of the people you mentioned here in this report, what kind of a time frame do you think that we would be looking at?
To get the information out, to at least start the process, probably about 2 weeks, unless council wants to receive, to do a final review before we send the information out. We do have community newsletters, which are very, very popular. We have our tax bills. We have our Facebook posts, and we can even go back down and actually send a letter to this specific group if need be. So there is ways to actually communicate with the group. And I think that would be one of the questions asked is what would be their time frame? When would they like to have, if they would even like to have a public meeting or a walkthrough public information center on specific types of how do they see this, how do we see the opening or the potential opening of option 2 and 3, and have them provide us with that information.
So Peggy, maybe the best thing for you to do would be come back with a report to us and give us some idea of what once you have a time to think about the situation. Maybe you can come back and
yeah, I think because this is a very important project to have council's final review of what the information would be like, plus with timeframes, it gives everybody a level playing field as to knowing when this project would roll out.
So roughly a month to kind of.
I'll have probably another report to council in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Mil-
So
I'm just wondering if I could add to the conversation. Yeah, because there's no sense of asking people's opinion, really, unless, you do have specific options. Milt, you and I were at a meeting at Dyers Bay, and I presented the idea of, just having vehicles in the summer and or just bicycles or whatever in the summer and vehicles spring and fall. And there was like basically not going to give an inch. Like this needs to be also like I think we need other groups like chamber. And so people tend to think the worst, right? So if you're not going to tell them or get an opinion of what we're going to do there, I know exactly the feedback. Maybe we're going to, after our minutes of the last meeting went out 2 days later, Ned called me, right? Ned Crowder. We always have a great conversation and a pleasant conversation. But so like to me, if we're going to have public consultation on this, it does need to be fulsome. So that's my comment.
what does that mean?
That means the general public. That means people in the area, people of historical, not just focus on and also, it's hard to tell people we understand where you're coming from and we think we can mitigate your issues. And that would be but that is really hard when people get a certain mindset, which we know is there, like, be interesting to know how many people are even living in that area, say like spring, fall, because our real issue in the whole area is spreading out visitation. But I don't know how, Peggy, I guess we'll just leave that up to you. But I do think that public consultation needs to be fulsome.
We'll find out during the public consultation process. Yep. I'm on.
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify one thing. Are we looking at option 2 and 3 individually, or can we sort of combine the two, like allow,
I thought Todd said a kind of a combination.
Is that what the motion is? Yeah, okay. No, I just want to clarify what the motion was.
All right. So we're ready to vote? All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. All right, so we will go through a public process and see where it all ends. Next, we will go to our fees and charges bylaw. So the draft, the 2026 fees and charges bylaw be brought forward to a public meeting on Monday, November the 24th, 2025 at 1 p.m. with respect to the proposed amendments. And the council enacts the 2026 fees and charges bylaw at its regular meeting on December the 8th. Mover and seconder for that, Todd and Rod. Do we have any questions on the fees and charges bylaw? Yes.
Yes, I'm back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's just on one of these, and we have talked about this before, I went to the section 8 on the arena, and all of a sudden I thought, oh, it says no charge. And when it comes to youth non-prime time,
I did the same thing.
I'm thinking, oh no, it says no change.
I did the same thing. Actually.
I'm thinking, holy cats, that's great. But
what the heck's going on here?
I would, to me, I was excited when I thought it said no charge because it's for youth non-prime time. On Monday to Friday before 4, unless they have a holiday that they're in school, but still Saturday and Sunday before 12 p.m. They get out of bed and they get to the arena. And I realize probably for this year it's too late. But is this something that we could look at as a no charge for those times for our minor hockey? I would suggest it for this year. However, I know we have to coordinate with Liwordson because our minor hockey now is amalgamated with them. So we would have to coordinate with Liwordson for them to do the same thing. But I would really like to see in those times that we allow minor hockey to have their practices. If they want, because if I've heard of anything a lot this fall, and there's been some heated discussions about it, it's the cost of having children in minor hockey. I mean, one cost a little girl $600. So we don't charge for a lot of things, and I know we have to make some money, but I hope putting it forward that these non-peak times that we could do something for minor hockey, girls hockey, boys hockey, whatever it is, minor hockey in these non-peak times. I know it's only $100 here and $100 there, but coming down the pike, I would hope that we could look at that at any rate.
All right. So
I'm saying free.
If it's always good if you're going to do something free to understand what the cost associated with it is, and like what revenue do you actually lose, and it'd be interesting to know. Like it's good to keep our kids busy. There's no question about it. But for me, I'd like to just see what the revenue loss would be in that. I don't expect it's a whole lot, but I'd like to know before I make a commitment. Yeah, I'm on.
And the other thing would be what other groups are using the facility in like a comparable capacity. Just because I mean, if we make it free for one group, then sort of opens the door for others as well.
Yeah. Can we have
Sorry.
can we have that information? Could we have that information before the what is it? The 24th? Peggy? Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other comments on the fees and charges? If not, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Clerk's report, and this is an application for an encroachment agreement for lot 53 on Eagle Road. And this is a kind of an unusual situation that this lot requires access from a non-open road allowance. So it was before our time, right?
I didn't think I was.
I know I wasn't.
Yeah. All right, so is there a mover and seconder for that one? Amon and Todd. I know, I guess the council approved the encroachment application submitted by Josh Lyons and Jada Mielhausen to permit the construction of a gravel driveway within the unopened road allowance between lot 3536, concession 4 west of the Brewery Road, former St. Edmunds Township, between Eagle Road and Lake Huron. And the applicant shall be responsible for all costs associated with preparation and registration of the encroachment agreement. And that the 1986 encroachment agreement be updated accordingly and presented at a subsequent meeting for adoption by bylaw. Is there a mover and second? Did we have a mover and second for that? Yes. Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Item number D is municipal law enforcement officer, and this is the year-end parking report. And this report is going to be uploaded to Let's Talk and BP for a period of 30 days for public comment. Mover and seconder for this report, Smokey and Amon. Any questions on the report?
I think it's excellent.
Questions on the report? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Treasurer's report. And this is an opportunity for, as a result of the municipal ice storm, an opportunity for us to get some money from the provincial government, Therese, of course. And so Therese's responsibility is given a delegated authority to verify and attest to the accuracy of the attached application package. So, yeah.
It says October 31st, so was that already sent in and we're just catching up, or did they extend the deadline?
No, it's been sent in
Oh,
and I just attached this report to it because we were too late to get this in.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully we can get a little money from that. So mover and seconder for that. Rod, Todd. Any further questions? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Item F on the report is the building department, and it's no demand for service agreement, and it is on 80 Parker Island Road. Plan 633, lot 1. Mover and seconder for that. Smokey, Todd. Any questions on that one? Call the vote on that. All in favor? Opposed? The motion's carried. And item G on the agenda is the building department again. It's lifting the holding zone on that same lot. 80 Parker Island Road. Mover and second for the Rod. Todd. Any Any questions on that? Call a vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Item H on the agenda, once again, the building department report. It is lift a holding zone once again, and it's on plan 777, lot 65, part lot 69, 808 Pike Bay Road. Mover and seconder for that one. Smokey, Todd. Any questions on that? Call a vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion's carried. Drainage Committee. The minutes of August 5th. Mover and second for that. Rod? A moment. Any questions on that one? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion's carried. Other business. We do have a certificate of appreciation here, and it's from the Ontario Command Legion, and it's presented to the municipality of Northern Bruce Peninsula, and it's for supporting the military service recognition book. So that's good. Always happy to support that cause. Any further question or any other business? If not, we'll go to correspondence, and item number 1 on the agenda is Bruce County report, and it was one I kind of thought might be of interest to us. And we have a community that's a little older, of course, and so they have some information there regarding age friendly. QP upcoming mandate review for Canada Post could affect jobs and services in your community. And if you want to comment on any of these, just stop me as I'm going. They're actually asking me for some support. So that's item B. Item C is the OPP Detachment Board. Their approved budget. And item D is
Can I just say something on C?
Yes, you sure can.
For C, it's just is to note that our contribution is going to be 10,800.
That's up this year, is it? From 5? Or was it 5 before?
It was a little higher, I believe.
Okay.
But that's for 2026. And the board is making a donation to Crime Stoppers of 5,000.
I saw that.
That's from our reserves.
Yes, yes.
Just so that we know that.
Yes.
When it comes to.
Yes.
There's a lot of other municipalities that don't give any money to Crime Stoppers. You're one of the few.
That I'm sorry, that
did in 25.
Okay, yeah, okay.
That's all I wanted to make.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Todd. And item D. Oh, yes, this is regarding our Ministry of Infrastructure delegation. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah.
It sounds good. I wasn't there, but I was impressed when I read it.
Yeah, they were very pleasant. Yes. And item E is the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing and its amendment to the Development Charges Act. So I guess that will help some developers, Peggy. They don't have to pay till occupancy. Yeah? And MPP Paul Vickers giving us all kinds of money. I was just looking at the different funding per household, and in particular South Bruce Peninsula, and also Aaron Elderslie. So I'm not Hanover. Teresa, this what is going on?
Yeah, I don't know why what the difference is there. We only qualify for under the two categories, so they probably have qualify under other categories.
We did better than some, but,
Well, we did,
but
yeah. Okay, well. Better luck next year, maybe. If you get a chance, Chris, what categories are there anyway that you, and I don't need to know that, but I would be interested in knowing what categories you qualify under. And just to kind of see where we fall short. If we do, if there's something we can, then there probably isn't, so. The next one is Tobermory Property Owners Association Community Welfare Protection Plans. So we would ask council for additional funding. As required to supplement the grants that are being applied for. What? They're applying for.
My belief is that the St. Edmunds property owners do care deeply that we protect the peninsula and are requesting that we, or the council thinks in depth when we're going through a budget process for additional funding for the fire department.
Oh, okay. Is that what?
I guess also like establishing like a formal community wildland fire protection plan. Is that just of it? Yeah.
That was actually something that was included in our master plan when we reviewed that. So it is one of the strategies that we'll be working on.
Okay.
and perhaps we had some conversation at the PAC meeting, and I'm not sure about the funding requirement, but I do think it's important that we stress to not only Parks Canada, but to provincial lands, that we are in a particular situation. We are on a peninsula. We do not have two roads coming down the peninsula. We do have a fire emergency plan, but it can only go so far, and it was so. I do think that we can't put our heads in the sand about this, and I'm sure our fire department is well aware of that. So I guess we can.
So we do have an emergency plan.
Yes.
But beyond that, they want. Are you familiar with this, or?
I'm assuming that, the general gist of the community wildland fire protection plan is like proactive actions you take to, reduce the risk of wildfires. I think I mentioned a couple of things like, forest hazard analysis and different wildfire mitigation strategies like fire breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Todd?
You want to ask Jack his thought on it?
I think so. Yeah. Jack is here. Oh, here I didn't. I
was kind of hiding behind Lindsey.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the grants that are being applied for. I haven't heard anything about that part, but I can tell you that Parks Canada is currently in the process of redoing their community wildland fire protection plan. We heard a lot about it when we were at the Sources of Knowledge Forum a couple weeks ago. Their last plan was done in 2009, so this is a refresh on that. They've asked for my input as a stakeholder for the municipality as part of that plan as well, and they're in their early stages of developing that community wildfire protection plan.
Yes.
Yes, and we did have a PAC meeting on Friday, and Peggy provided some reports of what we have invested in our fire department in the last few years, like we're talking $1 million 1 year. So I presented that to Ethan on Friday, and they said basically they hadn't really been asked before, and it started out a little negative, but it gained ground. If anything, I'm persistent, annoying, but persistent. But at any rate, yes. And I think our request to assist in our not just fire prevention, and they are huge on, looking at fire prevention. But we also, the point I made is we have to be prepared. And that's with equipment, whatever. If there is an event, like I look at it as prepare, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So we've asked for a modest amount to help us with our costs, and it's going to be taken a look at. So that's was part of the meeting that we had on Friday. So we'll see what happens with that, but it's on everybody's mind. But we are in a particularly unique position in that we're on a peninsula, and we don't have that many options. But there is lots of information that parks can use. Banff is right at this point. They're in this process as well. Like they're making changes. They're the oldest park in Canada, and they don't have their ducks entirely lined up. But Jasper opened a lot of people's eyes, and it's a good move. And I think this is just their way of saying, hey, we're worried too, but I don't understand it
People have
completely.
been for years on the peninsula worried. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just gonna put Jack on the spot here. Because we did have day 1 and day 2 of the fire exercise, and Jack can probably talk to day 3.
Yeah, so day 3 is coming up here shortly, where we'll be doing our annual emergency drill, emergency exercise. And part of that is tying in with the continuing wildfire and what that looks like for evacuation off the peninsula.
I'd almost suggest that all of us attend that, because we are getting a lot of questions from people, and then sort of nice to be in the front row and all on the same page here.
Yeah.
So whenever that date is, we should be here.
Currently looking at November 25th, if it aligns with everybody's schedule. There'll be an email going out tomorrow or Wednesday to that effect.
And sources of knowledge, and and we're all mainly interested in prevention, but we as a municipality have to be prepared for the eventuality. So thank you.
So that's a Tuesday, Jack?
Tuesday.
Okay. November the 25th. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, just good to have a little clarification on that communication. So we have A through G as information. Mover and seconder for that. Amon and Rod. Call the vote. All in favor. Opposed, the motion is carried. Closed session, the council moving to closed meeting with the CAO and clerk in attendance pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the following reasons. A proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality. Arena property update. Mover and seconder for that. Todd, Rod. All in favor. We're ready to go. All right, coming at a closed, council met in closed session with the CAO and clerk in attendance to discuss a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality arena property update. Council approved the closed session minutes for October the 27th, 2025, and direction was given to the CAO. So that concluded our discussion in camera. And then we'll go to bylaws. We have 2025-74, and that's a bylaw confirming the lifting of a holding zone at 80 Parker Island Road. And 2025-76 is a confirmatory bylaw. For the meeting held on November the 10th, 2025, member and seconder for bylaws, Rod and Todd. Call the vote, all in favor. Motion to adjourn. I'm on. Smokey. All in favor. Motion carried. Our meeting is concluded.